His breath was hot on my skin, hands gripping tight, pulling me close. Clara watched, lips parted, eyes dark with something unspoken. Frank's fingers dug into my waist, his pulse racing as fast as mine. I turned to Clara, trailing a hand down her arm, feeling the electric charge between us. "This is what you want, isn't it?" I whispered. Her breath caught, Frank exhaled hard, and the last barrier between us crumbled. The New Orleans night was heavy, pressing against my skin. I lay in bed, restless, my body burning with a need that had no outlet. I wasn't used to this, to cold sheets, silent nights, going to bed without the warmth of a body tangled with mine. It wasn't just loneliness, it was hunger, a deep ache pulsing low, keeping me awake. My fingers traced my skin just to remember what touch felt like. I wasn't shy about my desires, never had been. Some women bury that part of themselves as they age, let it wither into something they pretend they don't need. Not me. I still wanted it, craved it, the slow burn of anticipation, the thrill of a gaze lingering on my body, the heat that made my breath catch and my skin tingle. Then I saw him, Frank, outside, shirtless, working on his car in the humid dusk, all easy strength, unaware of his pull. I stood at my window, watching, biting my lip as heat coiled deep in my stomach. It had been too long, and Frank was everything I was aching for. I wasn't reckless. I knew how to play it slow, build the tension until it was unbearable. It started small, a glance held too long, a casual stretch, when I knew he was watching my dress hitch just enough to tease. A soft laugh, my fingers grazing his arm, light but deliberate. Frank noticed. I saw it in the flicker of his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking, the way his breath hitched when I leaned too close, the way his jaw tightened when I spoke with that knowing tone. Clara, sweet little Clara, didn't suspect a thing. She welcomed me with bright smiles, oblivious to the heat simmering beneath the surface, to the way Frank's looks weren't casual but charged. I wasn't after love or commitment. I just wanted to feel it again, the pull, the thrill of knowing I could make a man lose himself completely. And Frank was slipping fast. It started with a chance. Clara was out of town, Frank alone, and I was ready. I timed it perfectly, a late evening walk, accidentally running into him on the sidewalk. His hand caught my waist to steady me, warm, firm, lingering just long enough to send a shiver through me. "You okay?" he asked, voice low, concerned. I exhaled slowly, letting my chest rise in a way that drew his eyes. "Yeah," I murmured, resting a hand on his arm, feeling the muscle tense under my fingers. "Just a little dizzy." His gaze flicked to my lips, and I felt it, saw it. "Maybe you should sit down," he said. I bit my lip, smiling just right. "My place is right down the street," I offered, tilting my head, letting my hair fall to frame my face. "Come in with me." He hesitated a second, too long, conflict flashing in his eyes, tension in his stance, but he followed. Inside, the air was thick. I poured him a drink, brushing against him as I set the glass down, every move calculated, close enough, teasing enough to blur the line between accident and invitation. I leaned against the counter, swirling my glass, my dress flaring slightly as I crossed my legs. His eyes dipped, then met mine again, no hesitation now. "What are we doing?" he asked, voice tight-torn. I smiled, setting my glass down. "Whatever we want." The distance between us vanished. His lips crashed into mine, hands gripping my waist, pulling me tight against him. I moaned into his mouth, fingers tangling in his hair, tugging just enough to make him groan. His hands slid over my hips under my dress, urgent, sending heat straight to my core. I pushed him onto the couch, straddling him in one smooth motion. He exhaled hard as I rocked against him, teasing, tormenting. His fingers dug into my thighs, eyes dark with hunger. "This is crazy," he rasped against my neck, lips trailing down, making me shudder. I laughed, arching into him, gasping as his teeth grazed my skin. "Then stop," I challenged. He didn't. As I moved against him, his hands exploring every inch, we lost ourselves in the moment. This was exactly what I'd craved, and now I had it. I wasn't stopping. One time wasn't enough, not even close. That first night lit something inside me, a fire I hadn't felt in years. The thrill, the rush, the way my body responded like it had been starving. Frank was hooked too. The next time I didn't bother with an excuse, just a text. Minutes later he was at my door, no hesitation, no guilt. The second the door slammed shut, his hands were on me, hot, urgent, possessive. I barely had time to gasp before he lifted me, pinning me against the wall, his body fitting perfectly against mine. "This is wrong," he whispered, but his mouth was already on my neck, hands sliding under my dress. I smiled, tilting my head back. "Then why does it feel so good?" He groaned, gripping my thighs, pulling me tighter. I laughed, breathless. "I love this, the rush, the way you can't keep your hands off me." We never made it far, sometimes the kitchen counter. Sometimes the couch, sometimes the hallway, clothes barely pushed aside in our desperation. Every moment was feverish, frantic, pure need. Frank was relentless, strong, eager, making up for lost time, like every second without me was torture. I soaked it in, the way he held me like he couldn't get enough, the way his lips moved over my skin, the way he was consumed by me. I felt worshipped, devoured. When it was over, when I lay beneath him, spent and breathless, my body humming with satisfaction, I didn't feel guilt. I felt alive. I traced lazy patterns on his chest, a slow, satisfied smile curving my lips. Again I murmured, rolling into him, loving how his breath caught, how his hands found my waist instantly. I wasn't done with him, not even close. The affair was everything I craved, reckless, thrilling, indulgent. Frank was lost in me, body and mind, caught in the heat we made. He didn't just respond to my touch, he was addicted. But I didn't see Clara coming. The knock on my door was sharp, urgent, unexpected. My pulse spiked as I smoothed my dress, erasing invisible wrinkles. I opened the door and there she was. Clara standing calm, too calm. No rage, no trembling betrayal. "Can we talk?" she asked, stepping past me before I could answer. I closed the door, heart pounding. "Clara." The words hung heavy, undeniable. I waited for the slap, the accusations, the confrontation I'd braced for. But Clara just sat, crossing one leg over the other, her eyes locked on mine. "You and Frank?" she said, voice low, almost calculated. How long lying was pointless. "A while," I admitted. She nodded slowly, like she'd pieced it together. The silence stretched the air thick with something I couldn't name. Then she surprised me. "I don't want to lose him," she said. "But I also don't want to pretend I don't see what's happening." I leaned forward, curious. "So what do you want?" Her lips curved slightly, and for the first time I saw something in her eyes I hadn't noticed before, a spark of boldness. "I want in." My breath caught. I'd expected anger, tears, a messy end, not this. "You want—" I started. She tilted her head, studying me. "Frank's drawn to you, I get it. I've seen how he looks at you, how he loses himself. But what if we don't have to choose?" Her words wrapped around me, warm, intoxicating. My pulse quickened. This was happening. She smiled like she'd read my mind. "Sophie, are you willing to share?" The air crackled with tension as the three of us sat in my dimly lit Chicago living room. Clara leaned back on the couch, fingers tracing slow patterns on her knee. Frank sat between us, eyes darting, wary but undeniably intrigued. I reached for my wine, taking a slow sip. Tell me, Clara, I whispered, voice soft smooth. What exactly do you want? She turned to me, lips parting slightly. I want to understand, she admitted. I want to feel what he feels with you. Her fingers grazed the armrest, eyes locked on mine, a challenge, an invitation. I wasn't backing down. I leaned closer, slow, careful. Frank's breath hitched between us. Then let him show you. His fingers brushed Clara's cheek, tentative, testing. Her lips parted, a sharp inhale, betraying the nerves beneath her calm. Frank froze, watching. Then Clara moved, pressing into his touch, her lips meeting his. No hesitation, exploring something entirely new. Frank exhaled hard, his body shifting as he kissed her deeper, just enough to tease, to make her feel the slow burn of surrender. She melted into it, her fingers gripping my arm. Frank couldn't resist anymore. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer, his breath hot on my skin. I smiled against Clara's lips before pulling back just enough to glance at him. Enjoying the view, I murmured. Frank groaned, fingers tightening around me as he kissed me with the same hunger I knew so well. But Clara was there, her presence amplifying the thrill, her fingers hot, searching, tangled with ours. Every touch sparked something new, unspoken. Clara's hand slid over Frank's shoulder, her curiosity turning bolder. I turned to her, watching how she watched me, how her breath caught as I trailed a finger down her arm. I think you like this more than you expected, I said, smiling. She didn't deny it. We moved together, an unspoken rhythm taking over, seamless, a shared desire. A connection none of us expected, but all of us craved. Frank's hands wandered, guiding, gripping, as Clara and I explored, learning each other's edges, each other's responses. No doubts, no hesitation, just pleasure, just three bodies tangled in a perfect storm, raw, wild, profound. The best part, it was only the beginning. Morning light spilled through, painting lazy shadows over our tangled limbs. The sheets smelled warm, like us, like satisfaction. Frank stirred beside me, his hand grazing my hip, familiar, possessive. Across from me, Clara stretched her fingers, brushing mine, a soft hum of contentment escaping her. I smiled, no guilt, no regrets, just something real, something right. Clara turned to me, a sly, playful smile tugging at her lips. Now I get why Frank's so hooked, she whispered, voice still thick with sleep. Frank chuckled, pressing a kiss to my shoulder before reaching for Clara, pulling her against his chest. Unexpected, she added, trailing a lazy finger down his arm. But perfect. We'd rewritten the rules, created something ours, not a secret, not a betrayal, just connection, just pleasure. As I lay there, feeling the warmth of their bodies beside me, satisfaction pulsed through my veins. This was exactly where I belonged. No regrets, no doubts, just three people who'd found what they were looking for. What do you think? Is this the perfect ending, or is it bound to crash? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. You won't want to miss what's next. Thanks for watching.